Yeah, because what was unusual about the CIT ruling that we got handed down from essentially trade-oriented judges last night was that they said the administration had 10 days to wind down these tariffs, that they were not going to allow them to stay in effect while the appeals process played out. The administration obviously immediately appealed that, and this appeals court is granting them the permission to leave the tariffs in place until there is a final ruling on this. And Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, did say today that the administration's view is that the judge's decision last night was judicial overreach, that this administration does have legal authority to use IEPA in this way, and they are willing to take this fight to the Supreme Court, which could in theory happen as soon as tomorrow, and it may be up to the 9 justices to ultimately hand down the ruling as to whether or not Trump is authorized to use these policies in this way, and whether or not these tariffs can stay in place on a permanent basis. But this is certainly a win for the administration, at least at this point, knowing that they were feeling quite confident about their legal standing going into this appeals court.
Yeah, Peter Navarro speaking on Fox right now, saying the administration fully expected favorable ruling on tariffs. Even if this goes to the Supreme Court, there's still other tools in the toolbox, right, to impose tariffs?
There absolutely are. It's just a question of what authority you want to use and the amount of time you want to use to work through that process. So there's Section 232, which looks at national security concerns. He's opened those investigations already into areas like pharmaceuticals and semiconductors. They're already in place when it comes to steel and aluminum and automobiles tariffs. There's others in terms of Section 301, which looks at unfair trade practices, investigations that could be launched there as well. And he does have IEPA authority granted to him by Congress in the 1970s. It's just a question of what exactly authorizes an economic emergency or justifies an economic emergency and the use of tariffs in this way. But it really is just a matter of what reasoning the administration wants to use, what process they want to go through, not necessarily can they implement a tariff, but what grounds do they implement that tariff on. Again, the reciprocal tariffs and the tariffs on fentanyl will be able to stand thanks to this appeals court intervention, at least for now.